In every generation, there are people whose lives are torn apart by suffering. Pain that can't be explained. Grief that cannot be measured. Loss that seems to come out of nowhere. And yet, through it all, some rise with a strength that is not their own. One such man was Job. Today, we reflect on one of the most powerful stories in the Bible. A story not just about pain, but about purpose. A story not just about loss, but about faith. This is the story of Job, and through it, we'll discover timeless lessons on how to find strength when life falls apart. Job lived in the land of Uz. He was known as a man of complete integrity, blameless, upright, a man who feared God and turned away from evil. He had 10 children, vast wealth, and the respect of all who knew him. The Bible tells us he was the greatest of all the people of the East. Job's life was one of abundance. But what makes his story unforgettable is not his prosperity. It's what happens when everything is taken away. In a single day, Job lost everything. Raiders stole his oxen and donkeys. Fire from the sky consumed his sheep. His camels were taken. And worst of all, a mighty wind collapsed the house where his children were feasting, leaving none alive. Then, if that wasn't enough, his own body was struck with sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. He sat on the ground, scraping his skin with broken pottery, weeping in silence. And yet, listen to his words. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. This wasn't a man in denial. This was a man in mourning, yet still clinging to his faith. His wife said to him, "Are you still holding on to your integrity? Curse God and die." But Job replied, "Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" 3 friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, came to visit Job. For 7 days they sat with him in silence. They saw how great his suffering was, but when they finally spoke, their words only deepened his pain. They believed suffering was always a punishment for sin. They insisted Job must have done something wrong. But Job knew better. He had done nothing to deserve this. And so, he did something many of us are afraid to do. He wrestled with God. He asked, "Why?" He cursed the day he was born. He cried out from the depths of sorrow. And yet, he never let go of God. His faith wasn't perfect, but it was real. Then, in the climax of the story, God speaks. But not with explanations. Not with comfort. Instead, with questions. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? God reveals the vastness of his creation and the mystery of his purposes. He reminds Job, and all of us, that our perspective is limited. Job is silenced, not out of fear, but out of awe. And in that silence, something changes. Job surrenders. What can we learn from Job's story? Faith is not the absence of questions, but the presence of trust. Job asked hard questions, but he never walked away from God. Trials refine us, not define us. Job's suffering didn't destroy him, it shaped him. His faith, though tested, came forth like gold. God's silence is not his absence. Even when heaven is quiet, God is near. He sees. He hears. He remembers. Suffering has a redemptive purpose. Though Job never understood it fully, his story has strengthened countless generations. True strength is found in surrender. Job said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. That is faith at its strongest, not when things make sense, but when they don't. In the final chapter of Job's story, something beautiful happens. God restores him. His health returns. He is blessed with more children. His wealth is doubled. But more than material blessings, Job gains a deeper relationship with God. He says, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." Job's trials became the very path through which he truly encountered the living God. Are you walking through a trial today? Does life feel like ashes and loss and silence? Then remember Job. His story reminds us that pain is not the end of the story. That even when God seems silent, He is still at work. That there is strength for the broken-hearted. And there is hope for the hurting. The same God who walked with Job walks with you now. Trust Him, even in the darkness, especially in the darkness. If this message gave you hope, share it with someone who needs encouragement. And in the comments, tell us, what part of Job's story speaks to your life right now?